What if the title property isn't a declaration of ownership, but a mistranslation of an ancient vow meaning the one I am bound to protect with my very breath? And the only way to survive the abyss is to stop fearing the monster and start listening to the language beneath his growl. In Property of the Leviathan, Morrigan Black delivers an monster romance that transforms the dubious consent trope into a profound exploration of cross-species communication, proving that in worlds where humanity is the anomaly, true intimacy requires unlearning human assumptions about power, possession, and personhood. This isn't merely another tentacle romance with exotic biology, it's a tender, psychologically precise narrative where every bioluminescent pulse feels like both question and answer. Consent is negotiated through somatic attunement rather than verbal contracts, and devotion means honoring alienness without demanding assimilation. From the first pressure-heavy narration, listeners are immersed in a world where darkness is not absence but presence, and safety is found not in escape but in surrender to understanding. Perfect for fans of emotionally complex monster romance and stories where male vulnerability thrives within non-human frameworks, this audiobook serves up atmospheric wonder, relentless emotional honesty, and protagonists whose journey from terrified captive to cherished equal resonates with anyone who's ever been told their worth depends on fitting a shape that was never meant for them. When deep-sea researcher Elias Vance is captured by the Leviathan during a catastrophic submersible failure, he expects consumption, not to discover the creature's claiming ritual is actually a rescue protocol misinterpreted through human fear. But as Elias navigates crushing depths and fractured assumptions, he realizes this bond isn't about domination, it's about translation. Black masterfully avoids reducing Elias to passive victim or the Leviathan to mindless beast. Instead, she crafts a relationship rooted in radical reciprocity across species, where trust is earned through patient observation rather than forced compliance, and where liberation requires honoring the Leviathan's intelligence without projecting human norms onto it. The audiobook narration amplifies this emotional alchemy, capturing Elias's academic detachment fracturing into embodied clarity, while the Leviathan's presence is conveyed through layered audio textures, distant rumbles marking emotional shifts, rhythmic water displacement during moments of connection, the hushed bubble sync of breath during vulnerable exchanges, all anchor mythic stakes in tangible reality. You don't just hear their connection deepen, you feel the seismic shift of two beings learning that love isn't about making the other comprehensible, but about becoming fluent in difference. What elevates Property of the Leviathan beyond typical monster romance fare is its nuanced portrayal of interspecies bonding as decolonial practice rather than fetishistic fantasy. Elias isn't merely surviving captivity, he's confronting how scientific training taught him to equate knowledge with control, challenging the notion that understanding requires extraction. The Leviathan doesn't keep him through force, he creates space where Elias's fragility can exist without judgment, honoring his autonomy even within the bond's architecture. Their relationship evolves through acts of radical reciprocity, sharing silences during tidal cycles that bypass verbal processing, establishing nonverbal cues that protect both physical and emotional integrity, and defending each other from surface-world narratives that mistake difference for danger. Supporting characters add vital texture, fellow researchers whose curiosity masks colonial impulse, elder leviathans whose wisdom carries both warning and grace, even the ocean itself rendered as living archive whose currents absorb millennia of unspoken communion. Every interaction reinforces the novel's core truth. In ecosystems built on hierarchy, tenderness is insurgency, and presence is the only true language. Even the monster romance mechanics serve thematic depth, with bioluminescence mirroring emotional attunement and pressure adaptation becoming metaphor for earned trust. For audiobook listeners, this production is an immersive sensory descent into aquatic intimacy. The narrator embodies Elias's evolution with remarkable range, from clipped scientific cadence to trembling openness during breakthroughs, while the Leviathan's presence is conveyed through layered audio textures, distant rumbles marking emotional shifts, rhythmic water displacement during moments of connection, the hushed bubble sync of breath during vulnerable exchanges, all anchor mythic stakes in tangible reality. Pacing mirrors the cadence of deep-sea life, deliberate during bonding rituals and reflection, then surging with urgency as external threats collide with internal awakenings. Whether you're commuting through dry land or sitting in twilight solitude, the audiobook creates a portable sanctuary where slowness feels sacred and embodiment feels lifeline. It's storytelling as somatic validation, transforming passive listening into active participation in a love story that honors both alienness and kinship. Ultimately, Property of the Leviathan redefines monster romance by centering male emotional labor within interspecies frameworks. It satisfies genre cravings for intense chemistry and fated bonds, while delivering substantive commentary on anthropocentrism, masculine vulnerability, and the radical act of building partnerships based on mutual recognition rather than human exceptionalism. No prior series knowledge is needed. It stands confidently as a complete emotional odyssey. If you've ever wondered whether love can thrive beyond comprehension or if true strength requires embracing what others fear, this audiobook will affirm that sometimes the most powerful act is simply letting yourself be known in a language that has no word for ownership. Press play, descend into the dark, and prepare to believe that even in landscapes shaped by difference, hearts still find ways to resonate. Your next favorite monster romance isn't waiting in perfect translation, it's waiting in the brave, trembling choice to listen without demanding understanding.